Okay, our final lecture on classical India deals with the economic network in which India partakes. India is in an advantageous location because it is relatively close to both China as well as the Mediterranean world. So in a larger sense, they get to be kind of the middlemen of the Silk Road. Even though a lot of the Silk Roads didn't go through India, India could still branch out and get to the Silk Roads, as well as have a lot of key things come in to their empire or territory. Additionally, India is perfectly located regarding the Indian Ocean, and we'll talk about that in a moment as well. So, different towns play a big role, and so you would have towns spring up, and individual towns would really specialize in a certain good or whatnot that they would make. And so these manufactured goods created a very early cottage industry where people made things that were in high demand, not just within India, but within the whole Silk Road and Sea Road network. And so this is what allows India to become a major player. So all these small workshops spring up and people go and work in these, and this is what allows India to become a major player on the world stage. The connection to Persia, the huge road building project under the Persian Empire, which you'll learn about in the coming week or so, allowed for India, and let me just blow this map up a bit. So here's the Persian Empire, roughly, and so the roads that they build allow for India to basically latch onto those roads and send things to the west, or for things to come from the west across the roads of Persia and reach India. And of course, we know China is involved in this as well. This is a map you've seen before. The red routes are roughly the main Silk Roads, and these blue routes are what we call the Sea Roads, or the Indian Ocean Trade Network. And that's you can see India is in the middle of all this. India is the beneficiary of being close to Africa, being close to the Persian Empire, and connected to Europe that way. And so they get the benefit of this, as well as the overland Silk Roads from China. So as we already talked about, Alexander the Great having extended the trade routes even further, and this is going to make this giant network of trading that's going to go on throughout the classical period. It's going to get even bigger after the classical period, but it certainly picks up steam. So one of the things that's unique about India with regard to the sea roads is the monsoon seasons. The spring and winter winds blow from southwest, and the fall and winter winds blow from north and west. And this creates a predictable pattern of winds to help ships go from Africa, the coast of Africa, these islands out into here, up into India. And then when the season turns, they know it's time to leave to take the goods they want to trade, and they would sail down from there. And so these monsoon winds were perfect for trade because they were predictable. Every year at the same time, it allowed for a reliable trade network. And with trade, reliability is absolutely essential, because the Silk Roads at certain times were not as reliable. You had to worry about bandits. You had to worry about slow travel. And so these things made the Silk Roads a more expensive and less effective way to move goods, whereas the sea roads, pretty safe, very predictable, which makes them reliable, and ultimately allows for bigger profits, so to speak. Plus, with the sea roads, you can transport heavier items, as opposed to the Silk Roads, where you're kind of stuck with what your animals can carry. You'd have to have a large number of animals to carry any substantial amount in your caravan. So the fact that India is located within both of these trade networks, specifically the sea roads, with the monsoon season being so predictable, allows India to prosper regardless of whether or not there was an empire ruling over India or not. So that concludes our lessons on classical India. Up next, we'll be talking about the Persian Empire as well as its relationship to the Greeks.